Joining us now is Florida Senator Ashley Moody. Senator Moody, listen, I don't know if you are a fan of either of those teams. You got some pretty good ones down there in Florida, but I'm sure you support the veterans and those that were signing up on the field there.
The oldest boy in our family is in officer training right now in the United States Army, and whenever the president swears the new officers in or new people that have enlisted into our armed services, it is so meaningful, so important for other people to see people putting themselves out there to serve their fellow man and their country. To me, it is incredibly inspirational, not just because we have a family member that is in the Army, but because I now get to serve in this incredible role as the rookie in the United States Senate. To be truly a guardian of this nation. And that's why this shutdown has been so disappointing, so challenging and frustrating for so many of us.
Yeah, you know, you called yourself a rookie, not me, but I guess it is a little bit of trial by fire now. You're in the belly of it. You've seen the worst of how politics plays into making decisions for Americans. We've had this shutdown for far too long, and it's just a handful, just a couple of Democrats needed. The scuttle is maybe up to 8 are crossing over. I looked at the list. There aren't many Democrats up for re-election. Maybe John Ossoff is one that could be picked off, but outside of that, does that play a big role in how quickly some of these jump over and vote for this?
Well, look, I expect we will take a vote tonight. This will include what we call a minibus, a few of our appropriations bills, and then another stab at a continuing resolution with some amendments. I hope that this will pass. It has to pass. 40 days of a shutdown, the longest in the United States history, is unacceptable. This could have been avoided, but for the Democrats wanting to put on political show and the Americans having to pay a price for that. It's time for them to come to the table. It's long past overdue. I also believe we need to address legislation or a rule change that if we go into a shutdown, that senators don't get to fly back and forth home. They lose money to do that, that their pay gets held just like our troops and our law enforcement and all of the other people that are hurting. This would have ended a long time ago if we made that rule change, and I've been pushing for that as a new United States Senator. I've been here 10 months, and I already understand quickly why the American people don't trust and dislike D.C.
Well, Senator, we got a lot of frustrations, and I'm glad that you're picking up on those. The American people are wondering why people are getting paid while everything is in disarray. But I want to get into what's at the center of all this. It's the health care issue and this shutdown debate. Democrats are dismissing President Trump's plan to redirect Obamacare subsidies to Americans so they can purchase their own plans. We've got one of your colleagues there, Senator Adam Schiff, earlier today. Take a listen.
We have no idea what the president means by that, except it sounds like what he means is the same old tired proposal of repealing the Affordable Care Act, giving people a benefit in the form of a health savings account, but allowing insurance companies once again to cancel policies and refuse to write policies for people who have pre-existing health conditions.
Senator, is he mischaracterizing what the president and some Republicans are supporting here?
This should surprise no one. So the Republicans came together. We started looking at why have we just added another $1 trillion to our national debt in the fastest period in the history of our country? And if you look at the skyrocketing costs of health care, they are solely caused by the structure that we have in place right now. And that is because we found out that it is directly skyrocketing prices to consumers. There's money going to insurance companies like you wouldn't believe. There are people signed up on ghost policies. There is fraud all over the place, money going to pay for illegal immigrants to get health care. So if we are going to lower costs, we have to think outside the box. And this should surprise no one that Schumer, the shill for insurance companies, and Schiff, that they're going to come out and be like, no, 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 no. Do you know who funds their campaigns? Like, I want to say 90% of donations from the insurance companies went to Kamala Harris in the last election. I mean, we have to get a hold of this, but they cannot shut down the government and blame it on because we have to lower healthcare prices. Their healthcare plan totally wrecked prices for everybody across this country. And so we've called them out on it. We have all of these studies that show that. And so when we've called it out and we've ended it, now they're trying to say we're going to shut down the government. Of course they are, because they're losing their gravy train.
Right. Senator Moody, Kevin Corke here. Frankly, I feel like they should just doze the hell out of the whole thing, because there's a lot of fraud, waste, and abuse. Take you up to Minneapolis, Minnesota. Trust me, there's a lot to be found there. But I want to talk about something that you've actually co-sponsored. That's the Eliminate Shutdowns Act, which is, frankly, designed to prevent these kinds of things from ever happening again. So I'm wondering if you wouldn't mind telling us about your legislation, and are you getting any support from other senators?
Yeah, you see a lot of Republican senators pushing forward on these things. We cannot let this happen again. You know, when we have to address policy, if there's something going wrong in this country, like making sure that we can get a handle on this outrageous healthcare system, let's address the policy. But let's not hold our troops and our federal law enforcement officers, which, by the way, are putting their lives on the line every day, let's not hold them hostage while we do it. And so if we end up in a situation where we haven't passed the appropriations bills and we're going into a shutdown, then we need to have an automatic CR every 2 weeks while we crank out those appropriations bills. Now, I, for one, think that needs to be coupled with senators staying in Washington, not getting paid to go back home, and also having their pay held. Both of those things together would put us in a place where we are pushing these things along, and there's minimal delay in getting the government funded. So important, because I am telling you, this is not about health care. President Trump, the Republicans, the Democrats, we're all committed to making sure that we can lower costs. And that does include pushing money into the pockets of consumers, into the pockets of Americans, so that they can choose and we can open up the free market.
Senator Moody, it's Nicole Sapphire. You were mentioning earlier about these rule changes to kind of avoid some of these shutdowns from ever happening again. President Trump is still calling for Republicans to terminate the filibuster, warning today that Democrats will, quote, do it the first chance they get. Senator, does Trump have a point, and should it be abolished while Republicans still control the Senate and the White House? Would you support it, or are you concerned about the potential downstream effects?
Well, he absolutely has a point, and a lot of my colleagues agree. You know, think about what the filibuster is. It is a way to get to a vote on a policy issue. So if you think of it like a drawbridge, you know, a drawbridge to get down so you can focus on a policy issue, and a 40-day shutdown, there is a problem. The longest shutdown in history, there's a problem. So what that reform looks like, it can take many different forms. We could push them all to the floor and actually make them filibuster. We could do it as specifically as to CRs. We could do it as if there's a shutdown. We could do it as to the entire filibuster. But it has to be addressed, because when the filibuster has been tweaked over time, and remember, this is a procedural rule passed by the Senate, it's been done because you had senators coming together in a deliberative fashion, in a good faith way, understanding their roles to actually operate this country, and it's not working. The drawbridge is up. We can't get to a vote. It's not coming down. We now hit a record shutdown. That is a problem. So we have to start thinking about it in a serious way, but understanding we have a duty to deliberate and make sure that we're passing good policies for the American public. That is also important. So I understand President Trump's frustration. I am frustrated. I think we need to consider all options.
Senator Ashley Moody, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for your insight. We really appreciate it.
Great to be with you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.